Welcome to day 4 of National Hedgerow Week, visiting the hedgerows on Dalton Moor Farm. So this hedgerow here is an evergreen, mostly evergreen, conifer hedgerow. It's quite different from most of the other hedgerows on the farm. And this is here, this was planted specifically to form a very effective windbreak for the orchard when the first orchard was planted back in 2013. And this hedge itself, I think, was planted the winter of 2012 and 13, and the orchard was then planted in the spring of 2013. So this has got in it a mixture of European larch, which is this tall one. They're very fast growing. Actually they give the Philolandiais a run for the money too, to be fair. So this is European larch. We've got some Leylandii in here. The poor maligned, much maligned Leylandii, which if it's planted in a big enough space is the most magnificent tree. Really, really great for wildlife to nest in, for birdies and for creatures underneath and for insects. A really good tree that everybody, and there came a magpie out of one. So yeah, really good tree, but most people don't like them. That's because they plant them when they shouldn't be, or they don't have chance to fit. So all of mine here have got chance to fit anyway. So we've got Leylandii, and we've got European larch, and we've got some Austrian pines, just like we saw a couple of days ago on the other hedge. A little Austrian pine here, and we've also got Scots pine, which are similar but actually not the same. Scots pine is here, and this has very pretty candle flowers on this time of year. These are going to get much more pretty with pink tops. Yeah, that's a lovely big tree. And next to it you can see the Austrian pine, which is slightly slower growing. They'll grow at different speeds. And then there's a larch up there, look, it's huge. And it's also leaning. And the larch has flowers which are called larch roses. These are slightly gone off pink now, but they are very bright pink when they first come out. These are probably more pink over this side. These lovely little pink flowers. And these are going to turn into the fir cones, or the larch cones, as we correctly call them. And there's lots of them. So the larch is a very amazing tree. You can eat it. Tastes really nice. It's covered in these little cones, or would-be cones, and it will be covered in cones. Still got some last year's cones hanging in there too. And it's got these beautiful young needles, pale green needles this time of year, because actually this is a deciduous conifer. So in the autumn this tree loses its needles and just has bare branches which are festooned with cones. So it's actually quite delightful. And then it grows these beautiful new needles in spring, which are very tender and sweet and lovely. So you can eat the larch. And then of course we've got the Scots pine with the slightly darker, more bluey green, shorter needles. And the Austrian pine with slightly longer, more greeny green needles, which are harder as well, so it's more spiky than the Scots pine, although that can be pretty spiky too. The larch isn't spiky at all, it's lovely and soft. It's a cuddly tree. It's a very nice, friendly tree. So we get the cones on, so these are forming cones. We've got some little green cones forming here on the Scots pine. That's another one. Now, Austrian pines don't seem to be mature enough yet to have had cones. They had flowers for the first time last year, but no cones yet. So who knows, maybe we'll get some this year. But they're much more slower to mature. And we've got another Leylandii. Leylandii have cones too, but they tend to be hidden inside the branches, little cones. This one's got a bell which we need to untangle because it's got tied up in the wind. I need a ladder to reach it. And underneath we've got the obligatory brambles and various umbellifers, and we also get some wonderful mushrooms along here which are associated with the larch. Yeah, and they're larch boletes, and they're bright yellow, mustardy yellow, which is very pretty, and they're edible, which is nice, and they're okay. They're okay as a source of protein. So these little cones are a little bit less pink on this tree. So this repeats these 4 species. Oops, I'm falling down a hole, sorry. Repeats these 4 species of trees along here. And we see there's something missing here, isn't there? We've got a bigger space here. We've got 2 little pine trees, Scots pine and a Austrian pine together. There. And we've got one squeezed in there. This must have been a replacement of a failure, I think. We've got a little tiny Austrian pine in here, sandwiched between these giant Lalandii. But give it time, because it will ultimately get bigger than them. So give it time, it's going to go up. I've got an unfortunately completely dead ash tree, which never made it past that high from being a baby. I've got a slightly bigger Austrian pine here. And this larch tree, you'll see the bottom of it. Oh goodness, where's the top gone? Well, it's out the other side of the hedge. But as I said, these are very fast growing trees, and they're more affected by the wind. And this is has been in a really windy spot as it's grown up from the west, and it's now facing east. So it's leaning right over the fence and across the top of the orchard. I'm sure it'll be fine. It's headed upwards again. The lovely dark green Lalandii. And so it goes on, and down the other side of the gate as well. So we've got more and more. So this is where all the birds hide in the winter. And this lovely, thick, green, luxuriant hedge. There's a few roses in as well. Oh, and there's some raspberries. Yeah, let's see the raspberries. I promised you raspberries yesterday. So here's some raspberries, some wild raspberries here. Pretty, aren't they, at this time of year? The new leaves on, and we'll see the little flowers. We've got little flowers just forming in here. Yep, we have little flowers just forming in there. So in another few weeks we'll have flowers, and that'll be buzzing, really, literally buzzing. The whole thing will be buzzing with bees, because they love the raspberry flowers. And there's a rose, again nature planted. Another rose further along, which nature planted. And again we get the boletes along here. We've got some peas. We've got the vetches down here again. Brambles. All sorts of brambles. All sorts of other things in the grass. And this rose bush. Yeah, so that's the hedge, and another holly bush at the other end. I might as well go and visit. Lots and lots of dandelions. Look at the lovely dandelions again. So pretty. May's moon is called the flower moon because there's so many flowers out. Well, there's so many dandelions out at the moment anyway. I suppose further south there'll be even more flowers out. But here it's mostly dandelions and hawthorn. Oh, here's some of these slightly newer larch roses. You can eat these. Absolutely delightful pop of flavour. If you're going to pick anything off a tree, you have to ask permission. Oh, may I have one of these, please, tree? Would it be okay? You don't mind if I have one? Thank you very much. I'll look after you. I will, in return. Oh, thank you. So that's a little larch rose. Oops, can you see it? Beautiful. So I can just eat that as it is. Here's the other holly tree at the end of this hedge. And again, it's going up through a Lalandii, which has expanded